Finland and Norway are two rather interesting countries that do have some similarities, but also have some differences. And although the two share the most northern border in all of Europe, it makes you wonder what would it be like if these two great nations were actually joined at the hip, becoming one big powerful nation. And here on FTD Facts, we are going to look at these two countries and see what their numbers would be and how they would change from population to military sizes to other things like GDP. Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to FTD Facts, the channel where we talk about people, cultures, and places from all around the world. Now, today we are looking at Norway, we are looking at Finland, and we're going to see what would happen if they're brought together to be one big, powerful place. Because, well, first of all, letting you guys know, if you guys love learning about cultures and people from everywhere, well, you want to hit that subscribe button because that's what we do on the channel. And on top of that, if you guys just like learning about Norway and you like learning about Finland, well, guys, I'm going to put some cards throughout this video. We got one bopping right here, and there's going to be some links at the end of this video if you want to learn more about these two great nations. But however, guys, let's jump right into it. If you guys are from Norway or you guys are from Finland, sound off in the comment section below because I want to know more about you. I want to know more about your country because they're just really great places. Anyways, let's get rolling. Now, first off, let's look at population. Now, Norway, if we were to divide these two, Norway has about 5,267,000 people, and Finland has about 5,509,000 people. Now, keep in mind, guys, this is just a rough estimate. They haven't done a census in quite some time, so as for these estimates, they could be off just by a hair, so it's cool. Now, however, if you were to combine these two estimates, you would get a total population of 10,776,000 people, and that would have this country rank at 83rd in the world when it comes to population, with Haiti being a bit more. However, the bright side is that they would definitely outnumber their middle brother, Sweden. Now, of course, with population, we also gotta blend it right in with land size because, well, one thing that people like to compare other nations to is how big these countries are. Like, you look at Russia, you look at Canada, they're like the biggest countries in the world. So how would Norway and Finland, if they were together, stack up to these countries? So currently, Norway has a land size of 385,203 square kilometers. Now, Finland is slightly bigger, being 388,242 kilometers square. In total, they would have a land size equaling 723,445 kilometers square. And because of that, they would rank 39th in the world, being in between the countries of Zambia and, of course, Myanmar. But what would make this country jump up in importance is the fact that it has a lot of water. It would rank 14th in the world, as these two countries combined would have a water percentage of 16.18%. So we got population, we got land size. Now let's talk about money, because money is very, very important. Now, the dollar in Norway and the dollar in Finland are actually really strong, and their purchasing power is great. As a matter of fact, it's one of the strongest dollars in all of Europe. And when it comes to GDP, we like to look at purchasing power parity, which is probably the most accurate way to compare nations. Now, for Norway, its GDP sits at $393 billion, with Finland leading slightly behind with $283.440 billion. In total, they would have a GDP purchasing power parity of $365.44 billion, ranking 36th in the world, being in between Iraq and Algeria. Now, how does this all break down? Well, when we look at purchasing power parity, we also got to look at other things that the country gets a lot of money from, and that is exports, imports, and all that jazz. Now, for exports, let's just take a light look at it. For Norway, in 2016, their exports equaled $89.4 billion, where Finland had $55.1 billion. In total, combining these countries, they would equal $144.5 billion in exports, being 31st in the world, right next to Austria. Keep in mind, guys, that is not an actual accurate number because there's a lot of trading that goes between Finland and Norway and Finland, vice versa. And to take that into account, when it comes to Norway, it exports $1.9 billion to Finland. And vice versa, for Finland exporting to Norway, they export about $1.69 billion. In total, this equals $3.59 billion going between the two countries. And if we were to subtract that from the total, we would get $140.91 billion, having it rank 32nd in the world. Now, guys, I'm not really going to go to imports because imports is stuff that you spend money on. I prefer exports where you make money on. But with that in mind, one thing that we should definitely look at is the military of these two nations and see what would happen if they were brought together. Now, the current military personnel, the total military personnel, I should say, of these two countries combined would equal 334,550 people. Again, guys, just an estimate. Don't get all like, that's totally wrong, And of these two nations, the one thing that they do have in common is that they do have a lot of people in reserves, because for combining these two nations, their active personnel would only have it sit at 55,550 people. But to break down even further, let's take a look at some of the aircraft, the tanks, and the navy that these two nations have, and what they would have if they were brought together. In total, when it comes to this theoretical unification of Norway and Finland, their aircraft strength would tally up to 259 aircrafts. As for their combat tanks, they sit at 212. However, these two countries would have a lot of infantry fighting vehicles. As a matter of fact, they would have approximately 2,054 of them. Now, as for their navy, they sit at approximately 332, and only about 5 of them would be frigates, 6 would be submarines, and the rest would be patrol boats. Because yeah, Finland and Norway, they got a lot of patrol boats. I guess they don't really need stuff like battleships and aircraft carriers, because they're not like the United States that are really going off to war all the time. So yeah, okay, now we've got the population, we've got money, we've got military. We should look at some of the achievements, and one thing that I really love looking at is the Olympic medals, because Olympic medals are just probably the proudest things for a country to have. It's because, like, you beat that other country and you feel great about it, right? Now, when it comes to Olympic medals, for Norway, they have approximately 520 of them, and of that, there's about 188 gold medals that they have earned. Finland has a total of 454, with 143 of them being gold medals. In total of all their medals, they would have 974, having them sit at the rank of 3rd in the world of all medals of all countries. But as for gold medals, they would also sit in 3rd, beating Germany, having a total of 331 gold medals. And of course, let's move on to Nobel Prizes, because it's all about intelligence, right? Nobel Prizes, when it comes to Norway, they have 13 of them. Finland has 5. In total, they would combine their Nobel Prizes to equal 18, ranking 13th in the world of all the other countries. And last but not least, guys, I always like to close it all out with UNESCO Zones, because heritage is very, very important, and I always like hearing that countries do really good things for their cultural heritage and for their natural heritage, because that's just as important too. And when it comes to the UNESCO zones, Norway has 7 of them that are cultural and 1 natural. Finland is slightly under with 6 cultural and 1 natural. Now you might think, okay, well that's great, now they have a total of 15 UNESCO zones combined. Well, actually, they really wouldn't. This is because one of them is shared between the two nations. And this is the Struve Geodetic Arc, which was a bunch of arcs placed all around Scandinavia to help determine the curvature of the Earth way back in the day. However, if we were to combine these two nations, they would have many different types of UNESCO zones, such as fjords, churches, forts, and of course, let's not forget rock art that was the dawn of man within the region that dates back to 4,200 to 500 BC. And probably the last and most interesting thing about these two nations, if they were to actually combine forces and become one big, powerful nation, they would be basically an upside down V. I mean, like, literally look at the size and the shape of those two countries. They would basically surround Sweden. I feel like Sweden would be like, oh god, we're surrounded by them. But either way, it would be the most weirdly shaped country out of all the countries, I think, in the world, but it would still be a rather cool one. So either way, guys, that is us just looking at Norway and Finland and seeing what would happen if they were brought together. I want to know your thoughts on this. I want to know if you think, if you guys are living there, if it would be a great idea, or if you're like, no, we like our own culture, we like our own way of life. No, thank you very much. Let us know your thoughts down there. Again, guys, don't be hating on everybody just because some people are like, yeah, I think that'd be cool. Or I'm from Finland and I'm from Norway and we don't like each other. Come on, let's all be friendly here and let's just have some fun engaging in the comments section. But other than that, guys, thanks for tuning in. If you guys like learning about cultures and all that stuff, you gotta hit that subscribe button because that's what we do. Other than that, I will see you guys in the next video. My name is Dave Wobble and it's been a pleasure hanging out and educating you. All right, I'll see you in the next one. Bye! So there you have it, guys. All right, now, before you get out of here, be sure to check out our videos on Norway and our videos on Finland, because I think you guys are just really, really going to like them. I mean, because we dug in and got a lot of information about these two great nations, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys will really like it. So check them out. Other than that, we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.